Welcome back to our continuing discussion about our course. In this presentation, I'm going to go over our signature assignment, which is titled Athletic Training Lesson Presentation. You'll see in the syllabus here, say see Appendix B for rubric. What a rubric is what I'll use to assess your learning. So I'm going to scroll really fast down to that rubric. Hopefully you don't get seasick. You can see it there. I'm not going to go over this in any more detail other than I think you should print this out or have it on your computer and read it, because this is how I'm going to grade you. Use this rubric to grade your presentation. Scroll back up. Hopefully you don't get seasick. All right, so what are we doing in this particular assignment? This is a very significant assignment. It's going to take you more hours than you expect it to. So start working on this now. Okay, so there's some, the student will select one of the athletic training educational competency content area. Now, the terminology I'm going to go over right now is foreign to you, but next week I'm going to go over all this stuff in a lot of detail. I'll explain each one of the things in this first paragraph in detail. So you're going to select one of the content area, and you're going to create an athletic training learning experience or lesson plan or a lesson that addresses at least one expected outcomes, knowledge and skills for the content area, or a clinical integration proficiency for the content area. Again, I'm going to explain all this next week. This athletic training learning experience can be for a classroom, lab, or a clinical setting. Okay, so what you're going to do next week, or actually next week, you'll select the content area and if it's going to be a knowledge and skills area, or you're going to do a clinical integration proficiency next week. This week, what you're going to pick is which of teaching method strategy are you going to use for your lesson. So in this assignment, you're going to develop a 30 to 45 minute audio or video presentation where you will provide a lesson plan and then explain how the lesson is taught using a specific teaching method or strategy. One of these here. So I'm going to go to our class real quick. Obviously, you're in this forum watching this video right now, and so what I'd recommend that you download this file here that has the explanation of what each of these teaching methods mean, so you have a better understanding of that. And so after you decide which of these areas you want to use for this assignment in the form this week, what I want you to do is pick your teaching method or strategy for this week. That's all you're doing this week. Is I want to use peer assisted learning, whatever that means, for this assignment. Only one person can use peer assisted learning. So once the topic is picked, nobody else can pick that topic. So first come, first serve on that. So if you're quick, you'll get those early. Okay, so you're going to develop this audio video presentation, you develop a lesson plan, and explain how that lesson is used using one of these methods. So I'm going to skip this section right here. I'm going to talk about the lesson plan. I have a template, and I have in a later week, I'll explain how to actually write a lesson plan, how to write an introduction, how to write a student learning outcome, how to develop the content. The content is where you're going to use the teaching methods, is in the content. That's where the content's going to be. You'll have a conclusion and an assessment. All right. So you'll do a presentation using a lesson plan, how you can teach that particular lesson using one of these strategies. And then after that, you want to analyze your lesson's effectiveness in the following 5 areas. How effective was it in meeting your stated learning outcomes that you had in your lesson plan? How effective was it in meeting the athletic training educational competency area that you selected, and the knowledge and skills or clinical proficiencies that you selected? Or how effective was it for it to be an actual classroom setting, or should it have been a lab setting now that you look at it, or a clinical setting? How effective was that? These are all 10 points. And the last thing I want you to analyze throughout this class, we're going to be going through the Bain book. How effective was your lesson in meeting Bain's conclusions on being the best college teacher? That's worth 20 points. Oop, I just found a mistake in my syllabus. So work on that. Those are your things you're going to analyze there. The other thing you should know, you should be using at least 10 acceptable sources of literature. Now here I have a lot of information about what is considered an acceptable source of literature here. We should be using journal articles as our primary thing for our evidence. We can use textbooks. We can use our professional organizations from NATA, the NATA Executive Committee on Education, Athletic Training Education Journal, the BOC's website, Katie's website, all these other things. But we're never going to use Wikipedia or blogs in our papers. Any paper, not just this particular assignment. Make sure you include an introduction, summary, conclusions. And when you're doing your presentations, whatever kind of presentation you're going to do, make sure you're an effective, engaging presenter. We've all been at conferences where we've had that presenter that just puts you to sleep. Don't be that guy. Be a good presenter. Learn how to do this. Your presentation, you can use any kind of format or material that you want. You can use audio, PowerPoint, Keynote, screen capturing. I've placed some information there in the class. So if we go back to our class, this link right here has a bunch of online tools, presentation tools. So you can click on that and you can learn about how to do online presentations. The only requirement is that you have to be able to link it into, either attach it in the form or link it in the form. The other thing we have is a 2 GB file limitation in Moodle. So just make sure that's a huge file, so you probably shouldn't have a problem with it being that big. But the problem that you may have is uploading it into Moodle if you're on Wi-Fi. So I'd be directly hardwired into the internet via Ethernet connection if you have that possibility, because with some Wi-Fi connections it's going to time out. You're not going to be able to upload it. Some other things you may want to do is upload it to YouTube, then what's the word I'm looking for? Then just either embed it or link it in the form. So I've assumed some things here. One of the things you're going to do is you're going to facilitate a discussion around your presentation. So what you're going to do is you're going to attach, as I said earlier, you're going to attach your presentation in the form, and then you'll post 2 to 4 open-ended questions or statements in the form for other students to respond to. So that's 10 points. And you'll also read when students respond back to your questions. You'll keep that thread going by continuing that discussion, because it is a discussion. So you post some questions, engaging open-ended questions. The students will answer the questions, then you'll respond back to them. Then the other students have to come back and respond back to your questions. So that's the form responses here. You're going to listen to the presentation before you answer the questions, and then you're going to do this for 2 other students. You'll answer their questions, and if it's an opinion question, you can just provide your opinion, but we still should try to support our opinions with evidence, with references, and cite those references within your forum post. So this is one way that we get to learn more about these different topics. We'll do this a lot in our graduate program, especially in my classes. I think this is important for us to hear others in our class by reading their or listening to their presentations. Again, through this class, I'll be hopefully teaching you more about this for you to learn how to actually develop a lesson. And you're developing a lesson using a specific teaching method on a specific educational area within athletic training. Then you'll analyze your lesson on how effective it was on these main areas. If you have questions, which I'm sure you will, please post your questions in the Q&A form so I can help you.